What's up, everyone? Welcome to the ultimate combat and character progression guide for Honkai Star Rail. So, let's get it started. First up, we have paths. In Honkai Star Rail, characters have various different archetypes. We call these paths. Currently, we have 7 different paths. For damage dealers, we have the Hunt, specializing in high single target damage, Erudition, specializing in high AoE damage, and Destruction, which is a little bit of a mix of the both, leaning towards either side depending on each character's kit. For supports, we have Harmony, specializing in buffing allies, increasing various stats, helping them to do much more damage, and Nihility, specializing in debuffing enemies by lowering their stats or giving them various negative statuses. And finally, we have paths for survivability. Abundance, the class for healers, which can have special utility as well, like revives or removing debuffs from allies. And Preservation, the class for tanks, which specializes in giving shields to party members and sometimes taking aggro from enemies, preventing others from taking damage. Now that we have figured out the different types of characters in the game, time to see how the combat works. In this game, each character has a basic attack, skill, and an ultimate that can be used in battle. Skills cost skill points, which you can primarily gain by using basic attacks. Skills can do a wide range of things depending on the character, like dealing damage, buffing allies, healing, and even giving shields. These skill points, or SP, are a very important resource. In a battle, you start out with 3 SP. Using a skill costs 1 SP, and using a basic attack gives you 1 SP. So in practice, you need to balance out the usage of skills and basic attacks throughout your party to consistently deal damage, cast buffs, and heal using your skills in a battle. Ultimates are a character's strongest ability. You can only use these ultimates when a character's ultimate gauge is full. To fill up this ultimate gauge, you can gain energy by using basic attacks, skills, follow-up attacks, ultimates, and from effects from some light cones. What makes ultimates so powerful is that they ignore the turn order, which means it doesn't matter if it's your turn or your enemy's. If your character's ultimate is charged, you can just perform it then and there. Speaking of turn order, let me explain it in greater detail. Turn order is the order in which your characters and enemies are able to use their abilities. When and how often characters and enemies get to move depends on their speed stat. Now, to get a clearer understanding of how speed works, I would recommend you to have the display character action value during a battle on in the other settings tab of your game's settings. Now, you'll be able to see a number beside all your characters and enemies in the queue. This is called the action value. The lower this value is, the sooner your character will be able to move. This value depends on the speed of your character, and it dictates how often you will get to move in a turn. Next, we have a very important mechanic for the combat system: braking. Enemies in Star Rail have an extra bar over their HP, which is called a toughness bar or the break bar. This break bar can be depleted by damaging enemies with the elements that they are vulnerable with. This can be checked by looking at the enemy's details during battle. The amount of damage dealt to the break bar varies greatly depending on the character and their skill. Characters like Asta, who have a multi-hit skill, are able to break down break bars very well. Depleting a break bar causes a break, which usually deals a big instance of damage to the enemy and gives them a status ailment. The damage type of the break damage and the status ailment depends on the element that caused the break. Bleed for physical, burn for fire, frozen for ice, and so on. The enemy remains broken for a turn, after which its break bar fully recovers and can be broken again. The damage and the status effect for breaking depends on your character's level and the enemy's level. It can also be further increased by a stat called break effect. Finally, we have techniques. There are abilities that can be used before entering combat. They're mainly of 2 types. One which buff your characters for the first 2 turns of the battle, and the second one which can hit the target in the overworld, after which you can enter the battle with the enemies already damaged by the technique. For maximum effectiveness, you want to use buffing techniques on 3 characters to stock up buffs and enter the battle by using a damaging technique. Moreover, hitting the target with a technique that your enemy is vulnerable to can start the battle with your enemy's break bar broken, giving you a great advantage. Alright, with this, you have now mastered combat. So let's look at the character progression to get your characters ready for battle. In Honkai Star Rail, character levels range from 1 to 80, gaining additional stats when leveling up. Characters initially start with a max level of 20, after which you need to ascend them every 10 levels in order to increase the level cap up to 20. Upgrade materials to ascend characters can be obtained from the crawling shadow bosses and enemies in the overworld. Your Trailblazer level or your account level determines how many times you can extend your characters, so do keep that in mind as well. Traces. They are like a skill tree of sorts for your characters, and unlocking different parts of these traces can give you bonus stats, unlock new passives, and enhance your character's other abilities. Traces can be upgraded with materials obtained from the Cocoon of Distortion, missions, and from the shop. How much you can upgrade these traces is dependent on your character's ascension level. Eidolons. They are powerful passive abilities which can be unlocked if you get another copy of the character. You can get up to 6 of these Eidolons for a character. And more often than not, these Eidolons give passives which can completely change the way a character plays. Now we have light cones. They function similarly to weapons from other games, providing you a lot of stats and can be leveled up and ascended just like the characters. They come in different rarities as well. Each light cone belongs to a path and comes with a passive ability that only works if it's equipped by the character of the same path. These passives are what makes a light cone good or bad. And finally, we have relics. They function similarly to armors or artifacts from different games, where most of your character's stats come from. There are 6 different types of relics. Each relic has one main stat and up to 4 substats. The main stats are different depending on the relic type. Substats on relics are random and cannot be the same as its main stat. Relics come in rarities of 2 to 5 stars. Higher rarities have better stats and can be leveled up higher, up to 15 plus, and can have more upgrades on their substats. Relic set bonuses. There are 2 types of relic sets. Relic sets with 2 and 4 piece bonuses with the head, hand, armor and boots, and planetary ornament sets, which have the planar spear and link rope with 2 piece bonuses. Relics can be obtained from the Cavern of Corrosion and Echoes of War, while the planar ornaments are obtained from Simulator Universe. And there we have it. Now you know all about character progression as well. If you found the video helpful, please click on the like button. I'll be making more Honkai Star Rail content and even streaming it here on YouTube. So subscribe for more content like this from me in the future.